Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl Mitzi, and this is Mitzi. Let's think about it. Today we are thinking about quantum rebel. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is a thinker. So we are going to think about it with Shindy, who's going to be helping us understand this concept and how we can really reflect on it. So with that being said, thank you so much for coming on to my show. Let's go
It's a
ahead and
pleasure. It's a
dive
pleasure.
right
Thank you for
in.
having me, Mitzi.
Yeah. So, what does quantum rebel make you think about?
Well, the name is actually it's about really embracing our quantum nature, that we are at our deepest core. We are connected through the energy that we are. It's just like we're bouncing energy, and we often forget that in this world, because what we see is you, it's me, but it's that there's a level that goes deeper than that. And that's what unites us. That's what brings us together. So when you say what comes to mind, it's love. Love is the most binding energy, that connects us all.
Yeah.
And so I often say it's really about a revolution of love, because when we sink into our deepest essence, our soul essence, why we came onto this earth, and then things do get things start to make sense, and I love that's why I really love your show, because you share how sometimes things that, when we just think with our logical mind, we can't understand, how come I had all these obstacles, growing up with all this, other people had opportunities and I didn't, and when we learn how to reframe that, and we see the gift in sometimes even the most difficult and harrowing moments in our lives,
Yeah.
that now opens up a whole new dimension of opportunity.
Absolutely. It really does. And I think that was one thing that I needed, you know what I mean? Because I knew there was so much out in this world that I can learn from, but I just
Yeah.
needed to learn how to continuously shift my perspective depending on what season, what time of my life, where I'm at, environment, everything. So I realized if I'm doing this, I know somebody else may need this as well. So then
Yeah.
I created this platform because we are our community, we are all seeking these information, this understanding, and to have that moment to pause and just think logically is such a surreal moment that we don't value as much. And I
Yeah.
love how you brought up earlier how when you think of quantum rebel, you think of it as nature. You know what I mean? It's the quantum nature, it's the energy level. Oh my goodness, that right there. Man, I was just saying that to myself earlier. It's like I have some energy in me and I need to move it. So I need to go take a walk. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like people don't realize like we have energy surrounding us, we have energy within us. We are constant energy. But then the fact that you said, oh, love, how can not anybody think about that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Love is so powerful. And when you really think about why you're hurting, why you're sad, why you are so down and out, the real question, where are you lacking love? You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Because
Yeah.
that's what it makes me think about. It's like,
Yeah.
where am I lacking love? And then when you have that moment to ask yourself this question, you can be able to respond like, well, I'm lacking love here. I'm lacking love there. Like,
Yeah.
I just need a little bit more here and I'll be okay. But like, we don't have this time, that time to talk to
Yeah.
ourselves and have that conversation, and it's sad because we are seeking the world for these answers that we won't actually admit is really what we are seeking, so it's truly interesting. I mean, please, what
Yeah.
would you have to
No, I,
say
I
to
love
that?
what you're saying, because what you said is that we are trained, and it's conditioned. Our humanity has been trained. It actually wasn't always like this, but with our modern human, we have been conditioned to look at the world outside of us for
Yeah.
the inspiration. So we're looking for the love outside of us, and when we learn to turn that around and start within, And
Mhm.
that, like I said, even, because we all know it, you have to love yourself first, you can love others. But, when you take it to the, really to the, a deeper level, it's that it's a level of frequency that when we're at that love, I call it a love frequency, which is your level of vibrational energy. When you're vibrating at that higher level of love, and these, it comes down to, our biology also, these are our emotions that then have an immense effect on how we operate in the world. And that's what that's why I call it a revolution, because we've been conditioned for, I would say, lifetimes, to that the driving force in our life is pain. When we feel the pain, oftentimes, we either need to get really sick, lose our jobs, lose everything. And it's when there is more than that. We do learn from that. But then like in my case, like after I gone through all the personal development, all the clearing, all this, I said, okay, Ilonka, now you're here, now I can go out in the world, not conquer the world, but, make something on myself. And that's when I realized I was just starting. And it took me 13 more years of now learning to really step into that deepest soul essence, and that's why and our quantum nature, to see that, it's when we align ourselves with that highest frequency that we realize there's much more to us. I love, because I listened to how because you're a writer. I got one of your children's books, The Water, and I love how you shared how these ideas come.
Yeah.
When and you said too, when you have writer's block, you stop writing because you're being connected with
Yeah.
all that is, and
Yes.
I call them downloads. It's like my first book was a poem bundle where I came from, I call it a rat race, just running, doing, achieving,
Yeah.
working for, to get somewhere. And it's
Yeah.
when I took a step back and I didn't even realize that I had been doing that. And I
Yes.
came back to the island of my mom, which is Aruba, and I started walking the ocean, just being. And that's when it was amazing. I just started hearing things, feeling things. Something said to me, "You have to go paint." And I was like, "Paint? I've never, and then when we listen to our outer world, that's what I also heard you say, that sometimes we have to tune out our outer world and not
Yeah.
listen too much, because they'll tell you, do this, don't do this, that. Because they told you, Ilonka, you can't paint. You've never had a class. And I was like, so the little mind goes like, yeah, they're right. And I was like, up. I've got to honor this feeling inside. And you know what happened, Mitzi? I went to the bookstore,
Uh,
and there was one last book that was Painting from Within.
oh.
It was from a father daughter authors, and that's where he said it's like art is just an expression of the soul. It's the
Yes.
journey that you take. So maybe you'll love it, Mitzi, and somebody else will love it, and somebody else will go, "Oh my God, what a piece of But it doesn't matter, because it's our journey as
Absolutely.
to what and we sometimes may not even like what came out, but it's the journey that got us there, and that
Yeah.
set me free. So it was like I first started painting, and then I started hearing words, and it just I call it like when you put beats on a string. That's how
Yeah.
it felt like. These words would just drop in, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, after a while, I had this beautiful necklace.
Hmm.
And that's when I realized too, though, it's what I shared when that poem button was out. I said, okay, Lonka, now. But I knew that I wasn't the person yet that could hold this beauty, because I had too much junk still in the container.
Yeah.
And that's what many of us do, because we've been conditioned. We grew up in this world that has conditioned us to act a certain way, do a certain, go to college, do this, get a job, and then you'll be successful.
Exactly. And a lot of the times, what I'm realizing is that we learn through observation. You know what I mean? We are a species that learns through observation. So
Yeah.
we are learning this and we are seeing this and we are seeing, okay, what are the consequences if we don't do this rat race lifestyle? We're going to be homeless or we're going to do this or people
Yeah.
are going to not accept us and then we're going to be shunned. And I want approval. I want to belong. I want acceptance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So because we have this instinct like we were talking about earlier, of wanting to feel some type of place, it's hard
Yeah.
to acknowledge that before we step into wanting the world, we need to start stepping into what we want within ourselves. Because once we step within ourselves, once we step out into the world is going to embrace us or not. And if they don't, well, then, hey, it's okay because the few people who do,
Yeah.
they will value you, they will accept you, they will see the beauty of all that you are and all that you can give out to the world because you are one of a kind. And everything
Exactly.
that has happened to you doesn't define you, but it has
Yeah.
molded you to be such a beautiful individual that I don't want you to take that away from the world. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And if more people can see the wholeness of what we really are, because it took a while for me to realize this. Like I had a guest on my show and our topic was about wholeness. And after that conversation, I literally had to just start sitting with myself and reminding myself, like, I am whole and I
Yeah.
am right and I am true. And then I started to realize, like, I have to switch the lies that I've been telling myself
Yeah.
with and replace it with the truth that I know is true. But for some reason, I've been denying to step into that truth. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And for
Yeah.
so many of us, that has been the issue. And you know what I mean? And that's the reason why I liked how you said, you stepped into art. Oh, because art is such a beautiful
Yeah.
form of representing everything that's in you. And I
Yeah.
had another guest on my show who discussed how art is a form of love, is a form of anger, is a form of all of these deep emotions. But all of these deep emotions are a gift to still feel. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
if we represent them out in painting, in sculpture, in music, in writing, then you are not wrong. And that's the beauty of art is that you can never be wrong with art because it reflects, it relates, it makes it relatable because somebody can look at that across the world and be like, wow, that's deep and not even know anything of the artist. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Does that make
And it
sense?
actually transforms the artist, right? It
Yeah.
transforms you. And that's what I found. Same with writing. Because and there's two things that you said, what I really love is one is today, and that's what sometimes like they, things can happen like when you really embrace your quantum nature, things can or breakthroughs can happen like this, but
Yeah.
sometimes they take time also, because
Hmm.
there's no chronological time when it comes to,
Yeah.
the universe, that more expansive look at life.
Hmm.
And what I found is that sometimes, like what you said about nowadays, there's so much science that supports what you and I are saying. And that's why our message now is more, it's safer, and it resonates with others because there's now science that there's still controversy,
Yeah.
but it's becoming bigger and bigger, that we are starting to realize that what you say is that it's at the brain level, at the neurological level. As children, we learn through observation because our brain is not yet fully formed. And so it knows that it needs to learn from as much. That's why babies, they're always laughing and they're
Yeah.
filling up their database with what
Yeah.
they see. And
Hmm.
it's only later on that our brain gets fully developed so that now we can have a frontal corpus where we can start rationalizing and saying, oh, this is right or this is wrong. Now, if
Yeah.
we have fed the wrong conditioning into our children, they will have to it will take their lifetime to undo all of that. I call it
Yeah.
junk. That's why I say it's, we've got to watch out for garbage in, garbage out, so
Yeah.
because intuition is a very powerful tool for
Yes.
writers, authors, but for everyone. But I always say, you've got to watch the caveat, because if you have not done the inner work, you will get out, your intuition will work on what's on the inside. You know?
Absolutely.
And the biggest, I don't know if you've heard this from, he's passed now, this author, he talks about orange juice. And he said, it's like when you squeeze your orange, what do you get? Well, you get orange juice. And he
Yeah.
said, okay, but now what if inside the orange there's anger, there's frustration, there's stress, and you squeeze that orange juice, what are you going to get out? You're going to get stress, anger. Those emotions will come out because that's what's on the inside of this orange.
That's very
And
true.
it was Dr. Wayne Dyer, one of one of my big authors that I love. So it's that, and that's why it's transformational. What you say is that when we create this art, and I would say art is an expression of so many things. It could be a business report, when we create something that is aligned with our essence, and we create a business report or a marketing strategy that brings that message out into the world, it transforms us, because now, in order to do that, we need to raise our level of energy and be at that highest level of love, you know,
Yeah.
and it transforms the people around us in the world around, but it transforms us, you know,
Yes.
because
And
now
that's
we
the
have
goal.
we have processed the pain, and so it's no longer that stuck energy; it has moved.
Yeah, I think that is absolutely right. I think that's the reason why people need to start acknowledging what's going on within themselves, taking that time to just pause and listen. You know what I mean? Your body speaks to you, your mind speaks to you, your spirit speaks to you. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
If we take the time to listen and actually just like receive what's being said, then we will acknowledge how to start working with us within ourselves. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
baby steps. Like we know how we move. You know what I mean? You know how you move. I know how I move. I know that I can't be rushed in certain aspects in life. So I have to move at a certain pace for myself. And I think people don't realize that like you have to move at your own pace. You have to move at your own speed and dynamic, but you have to figure that out. It's like tuning a radio. You know what I mean? Back then those AM/FM and radios, you had to keep tuning until you
Yeah.
heard that right
Yeah.
dialogue right there.
Yeah.
Then everything came through perfectly. It's like you have to think about your inner voice in that way, like tune it, move
Yeah.
the dial as much as you have to get to that point. And
Yeah.
time is coming to an end, and it's so sad because I feel like we could keep talking.
I
So what
know.
can be some lasting words of wisdom that you can leave us off with to keep on thinking?
I would say is the biggest place where we start is what I call becoming a master of awareness, because it's when we can see on the outside, because we can't see on the inside, but we can see results on the outside that give us the idea of, okay, if that's happening in my outside world, what is it on the inside that perhaps needs tweaking? And it's
Yeah.
not, and let go of judgment of others, but also judgment of ourselves, because otherwise we can be a danger to ourselves.
Yes.
Because if we become masters of awareness, we'll start seeing the good things, but we'll also start seeing things that we're not proud of. And we do have to be loving to ourselves in order to work through that part, and to just understand when, okay, that's where I'm at now, but that doesn't define who I am. It's within me to transform that into who I truly am.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. I think that is beautiful. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for coming
Thank you,
onto
Mitzi,
my
for making it so
show.
natural to have this conversation. And let's keep having this conversation, and
Exactly.
inspiring others to have theirs also.
Exactly. And then, ladies and gentlemen, if you are listening and you are interested to know more about what she has to share with the world, please check her out. I have her lovely photo on my website with her website. So that boop, you can click right there and you can check out all that she has to offer the world so that you can keep on thinking. So with that being said, bye.